Hi there, I'm Dean. This is Woodwork Journey. Thank you very much for joining me. Today we're going to be doing a de-rusting video. And in the back of the Woodworker magazine, I noticed a little while ago there was an advert and it was advertising a rust remover, and it was saying that remove only the rust, leaving the sound metal unaffected, cleans and brightens brass and nickel plating, see more stunning before and after galleries and all this sort of stuff. So I contacted the company to ask exactly what was going on, because once you have a look at their website, it says that it's not going to eat away at anything other than rust, that as soon as it has had a go at getting stuck into the rust, then that'll be that. It's not going to, I don't think it needs rinsing, although they suggest you do it, but it doesn't continue to eat away and etch the metal, which is the key thing here. So, and I think they said that it was a sort of an eco-friendly affair as well. I can't remember, but I will put the details out there on the in the description underneath the video. But what I've got here is, I bought this and it's called Restore, and I think it was about 25 quid, something like that. And they very kindly sent some Metal Guard, which is like an anti-rust coating, along as well. But we'll look at that another day. Now then, this little bottle that, like I say, 25 quid, something like that, I think, will make 5 litres of rust killing fluid. And this, I think, is only 250 ml. Yeah, 250 ml. So what I've done here is I've got this plastic container, and I'm going to pour this into that. We'll mix it up a little bit, and then I've got some bits and bobs that I will throw in there. I'm going to leave them 24 hours and then come back tomorrow and we'll have a little look and see what they're like. All right, so I will put a picture up of what's required on the back of here regarding instructions, but it does say that you've got to degrease stuff. So really you should take everything apart to degrease it and make sure that there's no flakiness. It says about the flaky stuff that it'll extend the life of the product, but you can always use a coffee filter to filter that out if you want. But no, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some degreaser. They do sell a degreaser as well, and we will get to these bits of the plane. I picked this plane up. This is only a draper, so it's nothing to get too excited about, and I picked it up secondhand somewhere. I can't even remember where, but yeah, it'll be good enough for what we're hoping to achieve with it. Frog out. And this is why we have to clean these things, because you do get a lot of schmutz on the inside. Take the handle off as well. Right, now if you had a compressor and an air gun and all that, I imagine that would be useful at this point, but I don't. I do have a brush. Okay, so that's got rid of a lot of the schmutz from it. So now degrease it. The website sort of suggests that there could be all manner of build-up of stuff on the underside as well. Now, there is some sort of talk on the internet about these rusting and de-rusting videos being truthful, and sometimes people suggest that they're kind of falsely rusting up stuff in order to make an easy job of the cleaning. This has not been cleaned since I've had it, and based on the amount of rubbish all around it, I've got no idea when the last time it was cleaned. And I'd say it was just a cheapie that I got second hand. But what we're doing is we're just trying to get off as much grease as possible. Let that penetrate for a moment. Do the chip breaker. The typical pieces of a plane that get really exposed to rust, or really exposed, are the ones that rust really heavily, and they're the bits that can often get really, really pitted. But, you know, we just do what we can do. This is a kind of a relatively nicely made Stanley copy, actually. Never cut with it though, so I don't know if it's actually any good. It's got 07 on the underside of the frog, so is that the year of manufacture? Possibly. It does also have a brass adjustment knob, so that'll come in useful so we can see exactly what happens to brass when it goes in this stuff as well. Now, could you do more on the cleaning at this point in time? Yeah, probably. But I'm kind of trying to think of what sort of a normal, regular person would do. I don't know if they'd be this quick about it or not. But I think it would be something like this. I've also got a big old drill bit. It's dry as a dry thing, so I don't think it's going to need any degreasing, but there you go. We'll just double check. I think this is heavily pitted, so this is going to be an interesting test. So I've got a Stanley frog and blade here as well, so we'll throw that in as well. I did clean this up about a year and a half ago and I've never used it, so it should be in pretty good nick. You can see that because it hasn't got any muck all over it, I didn't, or it has got a load of rust over it, I didn't put anything on it over the winter. Right. Okay, so here we go with the restore. I don't know if there's a special way you got to open this. Here we go, in it goes. Don't know if it needs it, but I'll give it a bit of a stir around. Alrighty, so draper frog, we'll put you in. Blades, pop you in. Now what I'm not doing is putting them on top of anything, but I'm trying to have them elevated in some way that they don't need to be kind of held up on other things. Like on the frog there, I'm gonna, or on the cap, I'm gonna just put the lever down so it kind of sits on the lever. Right, drill bit, pop you in, and then finally we'll pop you in. Right, so I might have to give these a little bit of a mix around, but otherwise it's 2 o'clock. What day is it today? Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday at 2 o'clock. So we will check this out tomorrow at some point. Okay. Okay, we're on day 2. I'm not wearing a watch, but it's roughly around 2 o'clock, so that's pretty much 24 hours since this has been in. Now, I've not opened it up to have a look at it, but it doesn't look like it's done a fantastic job. However, this doesn't mean that that's the case. Now, it does say to rinse things off in hot water as well. So what I've got is, I've actually got a flask here of hot water. I've got an empty container here that I'm going to pour it in, and then I'll rinse off something in there, and I'll do the same with cold water, and we'll see if it makes any difference. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't, the water's a bit murky, but you know, sort of like a murky colour. I'll grab the camera, pull you in, and then we'll have a little look, see what it's all about. Alrighty, so what I'll do is show you exactly what I'm looking at. Hopefully the camera is getting that. It's not ideal. It has a smell of kind of little bit lemony, I suppose. Right, so let's pour some warm water in here. Might see the steam coming off it. And what I'll do is I'll pull everything out and we'll pop it on the lid for the moment, and then we can take things one at a time. Okay. I think it might have actually done a fair job. I seem to remember that that was super rusty. The blades will be the real tell-all though. That was mega rusty, and that actually looks really good. I know it's wet, but that looks really good. The plane that I dumped in there, again, wet but looking good. Now this iron, there's still a bit of rust going on there, but that might come off with some moving. Same with that one. That one though is looking fantastic. Got to try and remember which one was the Stanley and which one was the Draper. Right. Okay, so this is the warm water, and this Stanley plate I'm sure was really pretty rough. So I'm giving it a good solid rinsing. To be fair, I think it's done a pretty decent job. There's a couple of shiny bits around there, but that was from the original nickel plating. But rust-wise, that's looking pretty sweet. Right, now let's get one of these blades that this is not looking great. I wonder actually if I use a Scotch-Brite pad instead of a paper towel. Oh yeah, that's lifted everything significantly easier. No wire wheel action. I think that, hopefully that's in focus, that is a solid example of what it's done. Fantastic. This is going to save hours and hours in front of a drill press or whatever with a wire wheel or a grinder or whatever you use. I'm actually quite surprised. I was not expecting it to be this useful. Right, is it going to do anything with this back section? It was up the top there that the rust was really angry. And again, that's actually done a pretty damn good job, hasn't it? Now, bearing in mind that maybe I could have degreased things a little bit better, I think that has come out pretty flipping well. If I've got a decent shot of this before, I will I'll put a comparison up now, but I think that's going to be a pretty sweet before and after. Right, now the plane. This was all kinds of messy. Holy crap, that's come up really well. Oh wow. Oh Christ, all of this sort of stuff. I got so excited then I couldn't say words. But I don't think this is paint coming off. I don't know what this is. I think this is just corrosion over years. Nope, editing Dean here. That is definitely paint. I'm making this look a lot harder than it is because my hands aren't working very well today. But this is the reason why I wanted to try this stuff out, because if it saves me time on the wire wheel, then it's absolutely worth it, you know. Crikey, that's made a heck of a difference. A heck of a difference. Right, now instead of using this, which is warm, we'll take this blade. I mean, that looks like it's done anyway. Haven't got anything else that looks remotely rusty. It's really done a good job on everything. We'll take the frog out, we'll take this blade out, and we'll take this as well, because that was super messy earlier on. Okay, just in case anyone thought I was doing something funky, I've got a brand new Scotch-Brite pad here. I can get into it. There we go. So I'm going to use that. Take the hose off there. What should we use first? So that is what we're dealing with. I think the gloves were fairly pointless. I've punctured it with the blade already. The other issue when you're using a wire wool on this sort of stuff is things like these, the wording on the top of these, it's very easy to wear that away. Which isn't really a problem if it's your tool, but if you're kind of restoring stuff, it's not ideal. That came out pretty well. Not a hint of rust on that now. That has done a pretty good job. Now obviously, because you're using, God, it's even taken a load of rust off the screw. Because you're using water, you're going to want to make sure that everything is super dry. Yeah, it does seem to be taking off some of this colour. So we've got that side compared to that side. So that might have come off anyway. Yep, I think that's done a pretty good job on the brass as well. Obviously more time can be spent on this section, but that's all my back can cope with. Well, there you go. So I know it suggests rinsing in warm water, but I don't know if that makes that much of a difference, to be honest with you. But I think the resounding answer to the question of does it work is yes. Yes, it does. And it does a pretty damn good job. Is it perfect? No, because there's pitting, there's all manner of sort of muck that's kind of got in there and chemical blooming reactions and stuff that's happened over years and years and years. But as far as does it get the worst off? Yes. And does it get enough off to make it worthwhile? Absolutely yes. I am definitely going to be keeping this sort of bath of stuff, and I'm going to keep using it until I have to filter it through a coffee filter, and then I'll keep using it some more. But yeah, all in all, I think it's done a grand job. hopefully this is still recording, because even though I'm going to fast forward through it, what I want to do is kind of highlight that I'm not doing anything else to any of these pieces other than what you've seen me do. And I think that's important, because if I went away from camera for too long, you could think, oh, well, he's had that up against a wire wheel or whatever. But I haven't. Yeah, I mean, to make this shiny, you just have to give it a bit of a polish, but it's got all of the crud off it. There's a bit right on the tail end here that doesn't seem to have come off, but a bit of a rub with the Scotch-Brite pad. I think that probably would come off with a little bit more time spent, but maybe that's where it was sitting on the tub, so that's fine. Okay, so I've just moved the camera so you can see them all set out, and I think it's done a really good job. I think they're not all bright and shiny, but I didn't expect them to be. This is just a rust remover. This isn't going to automatically polish the crap out of everything, but what it does mean is that now I've got a nice surface to be working from. You'll feel pits and all that sort of stuff if you've got particularly bad issues with rust, but otherwise, I mean, that's nothing that the cleaner can do, but I think that it's just come out really, really well. So a little bit of time on a polishing wheel or something, and then that would come right up. But otherwise, you could just throw these back on a back together and then get it working, you know. So once again, this is the stuff, the Restore Rust Remover. I'm not in any way affiliated with the company. I bought this one with my own money, and they very kindly sent out this Metal Guard Ultra anti-rust coating, which I could put on everything. It's got, I don't know whether the camera will pick it up, but it's got some instructions and stuff there, which I'll zoom into if I can. But no, otherwise it's fairly straightforward stuff. And, you know, I think it's done a spectacular job for what it was, from what was needed for it, you know. I just wanted to show this. This is nowhere near fully restored, but I gave the handles a quick sanding, and it is looking in such better shape than it was originally. And so I think that is down to a lot of the work this Restore stuff has done, and I think that's come out really pretty well considering. So yeah, all in all, I am super impressed with this product. I think it's done really well. Now, I obviously accept no responsibility if you try this and it eats away at something important. This is just based on my experience. I think it's done a grand job with this, which now makes it super easy to polish up and look nice and lovely again. And I didn't ever think I was going to be using a Draper plane, but it turns out it's got rosewood handles, it's super old, and I might actually get that in use with a little bit extra work. So yeah, I certainly think it's worth having a go. If you have a hard time with derusting stuff, or you do a lot of it, then definitely give this a blast. Like I said, no affiliation, but I try these things in case they don't work, so you don't have to. Thanks very much for watching. I'll speak to you soon. I'll speak to you soon.